This is Grace. She died 3 years ago when her school was destroyed by an earthquake. I can only assume that she was cosplaying as a gothic Lolita maid at the time. I don't know why she's here, or why she's been following me the past several days, but it's gone from creepy, to frightening, to just plain annoying. And it wasn't until today that I just discovered why she's been here. Look, hun, why are you here? A corpse party? Oh, well, why didn't you say so? This is Corpse Party. It's a game that was imported and translated by the good people at Xseed. It's a horror game of a different kind. The most popular horror genre is the survival horror, where characters have weapons of varying strengths and they attempt to kill enemies. Sometimes the enemies are hidden, sometimes they're slow and looming creatures, and sometimes they're fast. But this game is different in that you have no weapons. You can only run away. The game tackles the horror in a completely different level and works you with the storyline. And this is the true genius of this game. Corpse Party seems like it follows, for the most part, only one path, when in fact, even just leaving a room can unintentionally change the path of the story. The game was made by a doujinshi group in 1996 using RPG Maker programs, which is where you get the 16-bit looking characters when you're walking around the school. Now, this isn't the original game as it was made way back then. It's actually the second remake that was released on the PSP in 2010 in Japan and in 2011 here in the US and the EU. There are many endings to this game, and not all of them are triggered when you have a decision of two things to do. Some are very subtle. The reason for many of these things is that the worlds that the characters interact in is leveled. They exist on other dimensions. So in one story you might find something odd that catches your eye. 2 chapters later you might see other characters placing those items or interacting with them. It's pretty cool like that, and it's these moments that mold the storyline into what it is. This is not a game where you're running away from swarms of zombies with only a handgun and limited ammo. Oh no, this is the type of game where nothing happens for like 15 minutes, and then something touches your foot, and you jump out of your skin. This is not a boo jump scare game. This is a game that scares you when you let your guard down, when it knows that you're starting to care for the characters, and then it brutally takes one of them away from you, and then it talks to you about it, shows you how people are affected by their death, how tragic it is. And then you start to feel helpless. And this is how the game scares you. And it's very effective. And when you feel like you're just wandering around, you suddenly have to run from something. This is almost always stunning in that it's unexpected at times. There were several times that you have to figure out what to do on the fly, and quick. And if you don't, it's game over. A very descriptive game over, which is another boon for this title. There are very little or no gore scenes ever shown here, and the gore is almost always very descriptive, painfully descriptive. And when you die, it tells you how to die, with sounds from the voice actors telling you how you die. Now, one of the things that people know me for is complaining about the bad English dubbing in games. Folks, there's no English dubbing to be seen here, and I could not be happier. The Japanese voice acting was kept in, and it serves several tasks here. 1, to keep the cost of the English edition of the game down, and 2, to force the player to pay attention to the story that's being told to them. People can easily just skim over text, but it's totally discouraged here as the story is what drives the game. It makes the player complacent as they read the words and hear the fear in the voice actors' voices. And they did a very good job. You can almost feel the screams in your gut as they send shivers up and down your spine when you die. And to quote my friend, you will die. A lot. Then, the characters vocally describe what's happening. and they do an amazing job. It's really wonderful to have such amazing actors doing a game like this and bringing in such passion. It sounds hokey, I know, but folks, the voice acting in the game, even if you don't understand the words, is effective in guiding you to feel a certain way. And then there's the graphics. I wasn't sure if I would like the mix of the 16-bit characters and the drawn characters, but they quickly became an integral part of the game. And once I found out that they were there because the game was originally created using the RPG Maker system, it made me even more accepting of them. The chibi characters and 16-bit looking area isn't all what you'll be looking at though. When someone talks, you'll see a drawing of their body slide in from one of the sides of the screen. These figures are also seen in the cutscenes. The cutscenes are not animated, but they do a good job in helping to set the scene that's going on. Sometimes the image will just be on for a second, teasing your eyes and sending chills up your spine. Then there's the music. And for me, the music is one of the downfalls of this game. Most of the tunes start off with a video game-ish quality and then escalate to a very uncharacteristic beat or orchestral theme. I guess it works, but it's just too different, too soon for me here. I mean, I guess I just don't get it. Tell me what you think.
どうしたの？壁にプリントが。
All in all, I have to say that this game is a gem. It's one of those games that might not get the attention that it deserves because it was only for download. And that's a shame, because it really has a lot to offer. Being a visual novel, the storyline is key here. It sucks you in and plays with your emotion. It works on scaring you through its creepiness and implied gore, rather than jump scares. 10 out of 10. The artwork for the characters is interesting, but it's plain, but it fits the story. The chibi 16-bit looking characters were nice, but they, for the most part, almost all looked the same. Not that it really mattered in this game too much, since you paid more attention to the characters that came from the sides to talk, but it did look good, and that was the point. 8 out of 10. Nothing too spectacular with the music. It was good, but in the overworld, it jumped all over the place for me. But it did well when it set the mood for some of the big events that you experienced. 7 out of 10. This was a tough one for me. On one hand, I felt that the gameplay was a little slow and wanted more action, but that would have taken away from the suspense. On one hand, I felt it was walking around in a top-down way that just seemed like a waste for this game. But then I was forced to interact with spirits suddenly and unexpectedly. The gameplay presented here is different for certain, but it's not by any means superfluous. It's okay in my book. 8 out of 10. With over 35 endings in all, is there a question about replayability? The only problem will be the length of the game. 10 to 15 hours will not seem like a lot, but unlocking more chapters keeps you going. 9 out of 10. Price and value melds nicely into this title, since, like I said, for 20 bucks, it's a download horror game that you will enjoy. You won't feel like you didn't get enough bang for your buck, and it's just enough to keep you playing it over and over and over, to find more things that you didn't see the first few replays. 10 out of 10. Bringing me to a final score of 8 out of 10. Well worth it. Go get it now. Grace, I want to thank you for coming here today. I hope that your spirit can rest a little easier now.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm going back to Silent Hill.
Silent Hill? Well, what was all this then?
Oh, I'm just a voyeur spirit. I like watching you.
Oh my.